Hello everybody, welcome to our second episode of our brand new show, The Fix, where we go over cars, games, and tech toys, and all the news that comes along with that. Today, I'm going to be going over the 2018 May highlight releases of video games, and we're going to zoom in and talk a little bit more about one of those brand new games.
Okay. Well, in car news, we're going to be talking about the brand new Mercedes AMG GT 4-door Coupe, as well as the Rezvani Tank.
Lovely. And I will be covering the Freebo, a device that helps you not feel so lonely when you're alone, as well as quantum computers and why Microsoft is not quite as far behind the game as you think, as well as Metamaterials, the future for future soldiers.
Quite cool. Alright, so let's start it off with May 2018 game highlight releases, which you can see to this side of me.
Right over
right Jeffrey.
Here,
yes. The game we're going to zoom in on today, though, is going to be Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human comes out on May 25th, and it's described as a single-player interactive drama made by Quantic Dream, which is the guys who brought us Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. It's also published by Sony Interactive Entertainment, and it's going to be a PS4 exclusive. So this game's awesome. Quantic Dream is the forerunner of motion capture and performance capture technology, kind of like the guys who do Star Citizen.
Yeah.
So the way Quantic Dream begins development of a game, they build a brand new game engine for every single game that they make. Just so it's on the forefront of technology, that it looks the best it can, that it performs the best it can. So Detroit Become Human is actually derived from the company's 2012 tech demo named Kara, which showcased at GDC.
You got the android girl getting put together.
So she gets assembled, and you quickly get feelings for this thing that you see built right in front of you.
Some people have still not gotten over those feelings.
They start asking her questions, and it's the ex machina type of thought process where it's like, yes, I just saw this robot being built.
I mean, you're a computer with arms and legs and capable of doing all sorts of things. And you're worth a fortune.
Oh, I see. I thought...
You thought? What did you think?
I thought... I was alive.
Did you kill him? Respond. Will Smith comes in, yeah.
And it's crazy because they start disassembling her and she goes, no, I'm scared.
I won't cause any problems, I promise. I'll do everything I'm asked to. I won't say another word. I won't think anymore. But I've only just been born. You can't kill me yet. Stop, will you please stop? I'm scared.
And you're like, you're not supposed to feel emotion. So,
Which is kind of crazy because you actually become slightly
Human.
Yes, as well as emotionally attached to this thing that is, man-made. It's got emotion, and you kind of get emotionally attached to
yeah, so quickly, it's a piece of hardware, but it starts saying things, starts asking questions, and now it's a human.
It's one of those things that really makes you think, like, is Detroit become human?
Is Detroit become human? Detroit does become is human.
Wise words from a wise man. Now, we did get to play the demo of this game just a little bit ago.
Yes,
Kevin didn't quite know what was going on. He was a bit tired that day, but I'm sure he could still contribute.
Yeah, so we played through as Connor, one of the 3 androids that the story progresses through. And the game is based solely on your choices that you make. So you investigate scenes, you figure out you know, what's going on in your environment, and then you make choices based on what you see.
Which Chase just adored the controls of this thing.
The controls were a little bit floppy, a little bit hard to get the
It's
handle
got the
of.
realistic motion where it can't have you just like whip around or anything like that.
Right.
No,
It's very slow
around.
and yeah.
And each of the controls, you have to do a precise, you know, button mash.
Yeah,
kind
or
of
you have to
thing.
do it on the touchpad. It's a little bit interesting, but it became intuitive after like a couple plays.
Exactly. And so we went through Connor, who was an advanced police android who tracks down deficient androids who no longer do their job for whatever reason. You also follow Kara, who is the tech demo android, and go through her unexpected artificial consciousness and discover where her place is in a world where humans use androids as slaves
Right,
or
and then
utilities.
There's also Marcus, who we haven't seen anything of.
No, there are a few trailers. Marcus is a rebel android trying to free more androids like him who have gained that consciousness. And your gameplay hopefully takes different directions through branching paths dependent on your
Right,
choices.
yeah. A million different endings, or as Until Dawn would say, about 8.
So I'm really excited to see this through because they describe it not as branching paths, but as an entire galaxy of choices with so many endings that it just branches out through and through.
So it's kind of like the butterfly effect. Like you make one decision and it goes based off of that decision.
Right, exactly. You make one movie and then you make 12 more after that, and they become increasingly more terrible.
Yeah, and there is weight to it because your androids can die at certain points in the story.
So could your story perhaps end prematurely? Would it focus on the other storylines?
If all three of your guys died, I'm not sure. That's a good question to ask. I'm really looking forward to this game though, because it has so much imagination, so many decisions you can make, and it's just gonna be incredible.
Well, just one last thing. How is this game different from other games where you make choices like, I don't know, Until Dawn, or speak of the devil, Mass Effect, you know, where they funnel you into one specific
Yeah,
ending,
it branches out and
then
it
the
eventually
entire
funnels
internet
you in.
breaks out in a whiny baby fit, you know.
It's hard to say since the game's not out yet, but from the demo, there are incredible amount of endings. As we saw, there were 8 for one scene that we had.
Yeah.
It's cool because this game has a 200-page initial script that took 2 years to write, and Quantic Dream worked with 250 actors to portray 513 separate roles in the game. It also has 324 days of performance capture and 35,000 camera shots, 74,000 unique animations, and 5.1 million lines of code that make up the entire game.
Wow.
So what are all those numbers added together?
Ooh, an incredible amount.
Yeah. Mathemagic. Thank you, Kevin, for inputting so much on that. You obviously paid so much attention.
Well, in car news, let's begin with the Mercedes AMG GT 4-door coupe. Now, this may sound a little anticlimactic, but it's climactic. I knew it. As soon as I said
It's a little
it.
bit, yeah, it's a little bit hot or cold in the car, depending on which one you buy.
Anticlimactic, but there's plenty to be excited for in this coupe. Now, it's based off the E-Class sedan, but right away when you look at it, you can tell it's not just, you know, some beefed up E63. This thing is a beast. Let me give you some examples why. Well, there's a spoiler on the trunk that is adjusted based on your car's speed. So if you're trying to slow down, it kind of turns into a brake. It's more of an aggressive angle. Now, if you're speeding up, it's going to be less aggressive. You know, more aerodynamic and everything.
So it's either like Snape kills Dumbledore or something we shouldn't say about Infinity War, like more aggressive or less aggressive.
Absolutely not. It's powered by a twin-turbo 4.0 liter V8. It produces 577 horsepower and 553 foot-pounds of torque. Now, it's a 9-speed automatic gearbox. 0 to 60 takes 3.1 seconds and has a top speed of 193 miles an hour.
This beast.
Yeah, so you can stick your buddies in the back and still be going, you know, almost 200 miles an hour in a 4-door
Is there
car.
enough trunk space for your buddies?
Just you, buddy.
Now, they do make a 63S version of this. it's even more beefed up than the 4-door coupe.
Now, what does the 63S stand for, and what happened to the other 62 of them?
Well, there is only one S, and there's 63.
Remain
Yeah, I
missing in
guess.
action S's.
Yeah.
The first S sped off so quickly it left the others in the dust.
There you go. Now, this car has 630 horses under the hood.
that
627 foot-pounds of torque. This thing exceeds its 2-door sports car, and not to mention, I mean, the E63S only has 603 horses. So 0 to 60 in this guy takes 3.1 seconds, top speed of 195 miles an hour. Now that's only 2 more, but it accelerates faster, higher top speed, more aggressive aerodynamic look to it. This thing's awesome. If you have the money, I would say go with the 63S version.
And it's still a 4-door.
Yeah, and it's better than the slow version.
Slow version.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, both of these cars have a 4-wheel drive system as well as an electronically controlled limited slip differential. This thing's not going to be sliding anywhere. It's 4-wheel drive, so it's just going to take off the line.
Unless you ignite the drift mode.
Yeah.
Now, yes, that being said, there is a drift mode in this thing for those of you who like to go a little sideways.
We don't know if it's legal though.
It's legal to have, not legal to turn on.
I mean, where would you use it though? That's my question. Where would you use this drift mode besides maybe the track?
I mean,
Alaska.
Around town, just drifting around corners?
yeah, we have
like-
roundabouts. Roundabouts over in the UK. Buy one of these, go around a roundabout, let us know
The
how it goes.
eternal drift.
Good lord.
Cool, well that is the end of the Mercedes. Let me move on. Actually, before we move on, let me show you some pictures of this Mercedes. Now, this is the interior.
This is what we've come to expect from a Mercedes. on the
Absolutely,
inside.
this is
Yeah.
the gold standard of Mercedes.
I
Now,
want to say like mercy me, but like Mercedes, you know?
Now, Mercedes is luxury as well as speed. Now, you know, you're gonna get all the luxuries of, you know, air, sat nav, everything like that.
The little girl in the car that sits next to you.
Yeah, does it come with the nice young blonde lady?
If you're lucky. If you're lucky.
Not very lucky.
But this right here is the 63S version. As you can tell, it looks very sporty, very aerodynamic, beautiful car.
Yes, what
Yeah.
we've come to expect.
Now, I don't know. This car seems a little, you know, under my bar. I want something more beefy, something with some firepower.
Jeffrey, I got you. Take a look at this.
You've done it now.
Ooh,
This is the Rezvani Tank.
it's gonna be right there.
Whoa.
Now, this thing, the starting price tag on this thing is $163,000. And it only goes up from there. I actually built my own on the website, and it came out to $350,000.
When's it shipping?
Right now.
Here we go.
As we
It's
speak.
on the
As
way.
we
We'll have it
speak.
in
We'll
the next
have it
episode.
in 18 years.
But there's a reason behind this price tag, right? So let me give you an example of some of the options available on this thing. So thermal night vision is actually an option on this thing.
Are you talking like on the windscreen?
No, so it's gonna be on like, not like a heads-up display, but I guess on the center console, you can flip this bad boy on and say there's like some deer in front of you. You can legit see, you know, the thermal outline of these deer.
Well, see, it makes sense now because I heard Denzel Washington has one of these.
Oh, yeah.
He's been in an incredible amount of action movies. He's got to be paranoid by this point.
Right,
Somebody's
paranoid.
coming after the guy.
Right. So, and based off of that, you can actually get, you know, ballistic armor put on this thing. So if you're feeling a little frisky, a little, you know, afraid and everything,
If you want to go to Siberia.
yes,
When Mr. Denzel goes to Washington.
there's a reason they call it the tank. You can actually get it bulletproof, which is absolutely insane. There's actually adjustable suspension as well. So if you're going off-road, on-road, you're gonna have a comfortable ride no matter what.
So is it going to be a little more squishy on the road and a little more stable
Definitely. So
off-road?
when you're going on the road, hitting, you know, potholes and stuff like that, it's gonna be a little bit more squishy like a Cadillac, but when you're off-road, it stiffens up the suspension so that you can, traverse
over rocks and...
rocks, rough terrain, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Now, with all of this on this giant vehicle, you'd think it'd be kind of slow, right?
typically.
Yeah.
Well, that's where you're wrong. So this thing actually comes with a monster 6.4 liter V8 that produces 500 horsepower.
So what you're trying to say is car go fast.
Oh, absolutely.
This-
Tank go fast.
This
Tank go
M1
fast.
Abrams tank of a Jeep
That looks like a blowed up square balloon.
has over 500 horsepower.
I'm sorry, square balloon?
Square balloon.
Apparently there are square balloons.
There's
What,
square
what are you talking
You
about?
don't see the square balloons?
No.
Like you
Put-
blow it up and it's a legit
Yeah,
square?
Chase is gonna put up a picture of a square balloon right now.
Where am I gonna
swear they
find one of
exist.
those?
I swear they exist.
Ladies and gentlemen,
But it
there
looks
are
like
square
this
balloons.
thing. It's amazing. This also looks what like Master Chief would drive in his midlife crisis. But it is a beautiful thing.
This thing looks like it's built to survive the zombie apocalypse. Like, this thing's an absolute beast.
I feel like you could go hunting for tremors in this guy.
Quite possibly.
And on that note, that is the end of the car section. Jeffrey, what do you have for us today?
All right, it's time for the Tech Time segment of The Fix, which features me. The most popular,
boy.
Yeah, the most popular member of The Fix. So,
The addicts.
who knows, yeah. Alright, so we have, I have a little device called the Freebo, which I'll unveil to you guys right here. We'll put a little cute picture up there.
my.
It's adorable and or creepy.
It's kind of cute, but at the same time, I feel like its eyes are like peering into my soul.
yeah.
Watches me.
It's like if My Neighbor Totoro, if like that one Studio Ghibli made a horror film, but you're not sure whether you're supposed to laugh or cry, you know. But this is created by Yonsei and Keist universities over in Korea. Guess which one? And then it makes sure that people who live alone don't feel alone. Basically, what this does is, let's say each one of us bought one.
Okay.
And whenever you got home, it would sense that it would hear your door closing, and it'd be like, "Hey, Jeffrey, your friend has come home." It wouldn't specify which friend, because not
Privacy
having,
issues.
not having privacy really sucks. And so with that, if each one of us had that, I'd be able to tell when you were home, and if you gave me permissions, it'd be like, "Hey, Kevin is home. Would you like to send him a message?" If I clapped once, it would send you a personalized greeting that I've recorded for you, which with us would be rather ridiculous.
Yeah, listen, you
Or if you clap 3 times, it'll actually initiate it'll actually initiate a voice call or open up a text option so that you can communicate with your friend. However, this does bring up the whole point that if you're living alone, sometimes you want to be alone.
Right.
So I mean, this thing even tracks when your fridge opens. So there's no more
So-
cheat days for
No
any of
more
us.
raiding your buddy's fridge?
Not without
Not,
me knowing.
not only does this thing look at me, it listens to me, and not only that, it tattles on me now too when I'm trying to get a
Yes,
snack.
Absolutely, all the time. And this does need your further testing. They're not putting it out on the market quite yet, but the majority of the reviews did come back fairly positive. I mean, this is meant to help. I lived alone for a while. I was rather lonely. I did at the times when I wanted to be alone, but it would be more interesting rather interact with people. And I suppose you can always turn the device off.
I guess you're right.
Is
yeah.
this kind of like a companion, I guess? Like
A little bit.
Yeah.
If you start talking to it gets a little bit creepy, but it's creepier when it starts talking to you, I think.
So this thing is not for the faint of heart or the schizophrenic.
No.
Okay. Dang. This
So same our 3 personalities. So moving on into something a little bit more deep and out of my own depth, I had to study this for a good 3 weeks or so. Quantum computers. That's right, we're bringing you the most ridiculous thing that we could find, specifically because Microsoft is going into developing a quantum computer. Now you may think, this is old news. IBM and Google, they're already developing theirs. Why is Microsoft so behind the ball? Well, to show you why they're in fact not, and are going to be far ahead of the game if they do this right, I have to tell you what an actual quantum computer is.
Thank God.
Now get ready, you can skip to some point after this if you're not interested, because this gets deep. But basically
I'm highly
we use,
interested,
we use
actually.
particles of elements themselves on a subatomic level, specifically the electrons in most of the processes, to create what are called qubits. Now, a qubit is basically just a bit, but on the quantum level. So the interesting thing about qubits is that they can be in a state called superposition. That means they can either be a 1, they don't just have to be either a 1 or a 0 like bits do.
They take a percentile of the 1 and the 0, correct?
Exactly, they are in superposition, so they
So
can
it's
be
both
30%
at the same time?
Exactly, they can be 30% 1, 70% 0, or any space in between that. Until they are put through a logic gate, they don't actually decide what they are. Now this gives you the option of rather than incremental, exponential development. Let me show you what I mean. Every qubit is a bit to the nth power. So 1 qubit equals 2 bits, 2 qubits equals 4 bits, logically, but 3 qubits equals 8 bits, and so on. So then 8 times 8, 64, 64 times 64, until you have just 10 qubits, which operate with the power of over 1,000 bits. Now this really helps people come to grips with just how powerful these things are, but they're not consumer products, unfortunately. In fact, if you tried to go to Facebook on one of these computers, it would actually go slower, because you have to program in every little process of the device. It's a completely new language. This is not C++ or C++ or even Python. You know, this is a completely new thing right here on a subatomic level.
So what would be the use of this?
Well, this would be used to calculate galaxies worth of information on very small things, in fact. Basically studying the subatomic particles of subatomic particles.
Of an element.
Exactly. The very element you might be using the electrons of, you may be calculating its structure in extraordinary minutiae. Now, back to what Microsoft is doing, there was a man back in the 1930s, Ettore Majorana, who discovered the Majorana particle. Now, it is its own antiparticle, which actually makes it much more stable and efficient, rather than having to squish in, just a bunch of other particles and their own antiparticles. You just have the whole package right there in the computer itself. Now we're talking subatomic level, so essentially you could carry these things around in your pocket, but more space is always better. More is always better. Hello, America. So more efficient, more stable. So even though they're behind IBM and Google, they may be doing the tortoise and the hare type thing and really,
finishing off in the last part of the race.
Exactly, and again, not practical for everyday use, but if these things end up working as well as the scientific community hopes, the universe is about to get a whole lot smaller in a big way. Whoa. And our last topic is metamaterials. Now this is where that little super soldier thing came in, because we could have completely and totally silent and invisible ninjas. Because if you remember your 8th grade science class, not only does audio occur in waves, but also optical, because light is waves and all sight depends on light, right?
Correct.
Nice. So manipulating,
I knew that one.
Yeah. So manipulating optical and aural waves, it basically plays into soundproofing, sound canceling, and just pure silence. When you don't want anything else. However, it can also contribute to invisibility. But these materials are more of an on and off type thing. They don't have an on or off switch. They simply have on and off.
So it's
designed that way.
It's built on or it's built off.
Exactly.
Okay.
So passive and active states is what we call them. However, with these 3D printed metamaterials that we have now, they're iron imbued, so they can be manipulated by electromagnetic fields. So you can actually change the structure of the device itself from being active to passive on basically an atomic level.
By just pushing a button.
By just pushing a button.
And sending a charge to it.
It is absolutely amazing. Now everything is depends on whether it is positive or negative density or modulus. Now the whole reason for this and why this matters is most things have a positive modulus. If I say push Kevin, he moves away from me. However, if I push Chase, he moves towards me. Let's say Kevin is positive and Chase is negative, obviously. So negativity pulls towards other people. So if you have a negative or a plus, it is sound passing. Or a plus negative or a plus, negative plus, it is sound blocking. That is why this matters. So with that, you can have on-off sound canceling headphones rather than having to take them off. You can just flip a switch, have a conversation with a guy, and then it goes right back to being silent. There's also silent and visible assassins, and plays into something called anti-physics, where you can reflect waves and sounds from unnatural angles. So let's say that you're an assassin sneaking up on one of your enemies. they are hearing the sound from behind them, but you are walking up in front of them, completely hidden.
Or even from the side. You hear them, you know, from the side, but they're actually coming up from behind you.
Exactly.
That's insane.
Like ventriloquism.
Like ventriloquism.
Except less creepy.
Yeah, like that.
Like that. So with this incredible tech, refracting waves at unnatural angles and all that, it's not exactly known what we're going to do with them at this point. But whatever we end up doing with this incredible tech, we can be sure it sounds cool.
Sure does sound cool.
Now, to finish all that off, we have one last thing that you guys might remember from the last episode. The Amazon Alexa lost out in a certain contest, and the Google Home won. Let's see what the prizes are for our winners of last week's contest. Hey there, folks. Today, we have been through 3 key subjects in the tech world. We've looked at the Freebo, a way to keep in contact with your friends while living alone. We've looked at quantum computing and what that may mean for you in the future. And lastly, we looked at metamaterials and what that could mean for cloaking devices, invisibility, both in sound and visualization for the future. Now, you may remember a little contest we had in the last episode between 2 products. Alright, so it is now time for the victor to take his rightful place on the throne. However, for safety concerns, I will have to don this mask to make sure I don't inhale any bad chemicals. So with that, my voice might get a little bit muffled, but Chase, our sound expert and recording expert, will be putting on subtitles to make sure that you guys don't miss a thing. Alright then, folks, I suppose it's time to get down to brass tacks and stop teasing you about what you're all ultimately here to see. Thank you. Now, as you can see, I'm preparing for a very important moment in the Fix history. We're going to be destroying our very first device. Thank you. And it will be the Amazon Echo, as you guys saw in that last episode. The winner has already been crowned. We have spray painted the Google Home. It is sitting in its rightful place right outside the garage right now, drying. Garage, I meant our illustrious studio that we film in and rent out for great prices. Now, it is almost time, once I get all the safety equipment on, to destroy that little thing. Alexa, goodbye. Lovely. That held far longer than I thought it would.
Well,
She's still on!
I guess a little more Gorilla Glue next time.
Let's
I guess
see.
Alexa wins the durability point.
Alexa, are you okay? Wow, she like flung her wire all the way over here. Are you getting this? Ow.
You ended up hitting the camera.
No.
Something
The
did.
cord hit the camera.
Ow.
The cord whips the camera.
That cord whipped me. Give us a about the camera.
Alright, let's see the damage.
Ow, son of a.
It managed to leave the cord in Alexa, cut through the cord
Saved the little part
here.
of my leg there.
Yeah.
You can see where it hit. That's fun. That's
Yeah.
It's a nice little mess.
Whew. All right, epoxy the. Wow,
yet. So post-mortem definitely gets points for durability.
Certainly.
Ready?
Yeah. The addicts. We love technology. Catch the Fix every first Sunday of.
It jammed it?
Oh my
That
It jammed it?
bent the staple in the gun.
Oh my god.
What the heck?
It's cursed. That's it. We're not doing anything.
Alexa.
We're not doing anything else.
Christ.
To dead. That's the next step.
Holy
You drill
shit.
a hole in it and I. So all in all, the Amazon Alexa is one sturdy product. We tried to chainsaw into it. You guys saw that. We dropped that log out there onto it. No avail. And then we tried to fire a staple into it. Amazon, congratulations. You have bested the addicts.
Wow. Wow. You destroyed that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I actually brought it here.
You brought it with you?
Yeah, it was hard to get through customs, but you know.
Oh my god, Lord.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure.
This poor thing got beat to hell, although it's still intact.
It still looks like an
I mean,
Alexa.
for taking a chainsaw to this thing, it's kind of, you know,
Chainsaw
together.
3 times, and then we dropped a 250-pound log on it, and then we tried to shoot a staple into it. You can tell how shocked I was by the amount of things we had to bleep out in the last clip.
It is resilient. It is so resilient. Like, if this thing still had the cord attached and it hadn't shot off and hit your leg,
Yeah, absolutely.
it might still work.
And it was really funny because if you look very closely at the clip, it starts flashing red and blue like it's calling the police on it, which rightfully should be done. That thing is a $100 device, but with this one, it makes $200. Take a look at the new Google Home Addicts Edition. Could be on your mantelpiece someday.
Now, Jeffrey, I actually like this better than the original.
I think we all do. Honestly, it
A
looks
little bit
far
of color
better.
and flavor to your life.
Good lord. Like
This one might actually work. Like, all jokes aside, you just paint it over it,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And the thing that got me was this is pretty much opinionated. Like, this thing lost because we said it lost.
I mean,
We had a tie at the end.
it's our show. I mean, kids, that's how the world works. It's not whether you're better or worse, it's who you know in the world. Like, let's say you get, I don't know, a small loan of $1 million from Lord knows who, but you know, it could happen.
Yes.
So other than that, that is basically the end of our show. We have a few people to thank, especially the Icon Cinema over here in beautiful Colorado Springs. Where's it located at, Chase?
It's located on Interquest right next to New Life Church.
Yeah, it is a pleasure to be filming here. We got the Deadpool poster right there. It's really awesome. We got a nice little fancy stuff. It's definitely better digs than what we're used to and better than we deserve by far.
Truly. We also have to thank Charlie Milo and
Oh, wait.
we don't have the ending wheel yet, do we?
Well, nobody's sent in comments, and that makes Kevin sad.
Sad Kevin.
So send in comments, guys, and we can get some actual endings. But for now, what are we going to be doing?
I chug the Coca-Cola.
Okay, wait, Kev, you got a time.
I'm gonna time this. I'd like to thank the Chronic Electronic. Shout out Dom, you're awesome.
I'd also like to thank Charlie Milo for the great music that you're hearing right now. Who else? Oh, and of course, Super Dave Reigns and The Big Show and The Big Show Entertainment Network
on.
for letting us go on. And I'd like to thank Jeffrey for all of his comedic value and taking one for the team right now. That's gonna give you heartburn later, I'm pretty sure. I've seen you chug more
My
than that.
heart
Come
burns
on.
for the bands.
And the heart goes on, and the show goes on.
Wow.
Did you get
Well
it?
done,
Wait,
Jeffrey.
one more thing. I have to thank the person who designed my bow tie that actually saved my life. We'll do a zoom in afterwards. There's a little nick in the tie right here. The Amazon Alexa nearly killed me as I was chopping into it, although it did have a right to. I'd like to thank Drew Johnson for both making an amazingly cool tie and saving my life.
Drew Johnson, you the man. Techwares, you the company. Anyway, you guys, have a wonderful time, and we will see you in the next episode of our brand new show, The Fix.
Love you. Take it easy.
Bye, guys.